You lie in the darkness, listening as her breathing evens out. Just a minute ago, you were at the peak of physical tension, your muscles working, blood pounding in your temples, your body demanding release. You got that release. Technically, the act took place. The fluid left your body, your pulse begins to drop, and by all physiological laws, you should feel satisfaction and a pleasant heaviness. But instead, you lie there staring at the black ceiling, feeling a cold, sticky void somewhere in the pit of your stomach. It is a strange, irrational feeling that many men are afraid to admit even to themselves because it strikes at the most painful spot, the male ego. You do not feel like a conqueror, you do not feel like a lover, and you do not even feel like a desired husband. You feel like a user who is granted temporary access to a body the way one is granted access to a payment terminal or a rental car. You look at her back. She has already turned away. She adjusted the blanket, fluffed the pillow with a habitual motion, and perhaps tossed out a short routine word like "good night." There was no warmth in that word. There was none of that languid fatigue that follows true passion. It was a period at the end of a sentence. The job is done. The duty is fulfilled. Time to sleep. And it is in this moment, in this ringing silence of the bedroom, that a realization hits you, one that makes you want to howl. You realize that for the last 15 minutes, you were not making love to a living woman, but to her projection, to her shell. Yes, she was there physically. You felt the warmth of her skin. You smelled her scent. You could touch her. But she herself, her essence, her desire, her feminine energy was not in the room. She was gone. She left her body long before you touched her, leaving you with an empty form, a mannequin that obediently accepted your movements but did not return a single gram of energy. This is a terrifying truth that men over 40, 50, and sometimes 70 often try to plaster over with excuses. We tell ourselves she is just tired from work. We say she has a calm temperament. We convince ourselves that age takes its toll and passion cannot burn forever. We lie. We lie brazenly to ourselves to avoid facing a reality that could destroy our world. And that reality is as simple and brutal as a whip crack. She doesn't lie there like a log because she is tired, and not because she is modest. She lies there because for her, this is not an act of love, but a tax. It is a service fee she pays for the status of a wife, for stability, for your paycheck, for the roof over her head, and so you will simply back off and stop nagging her. Today, we are going to lance this boil. We will put aside the vanilla fairy tales about eternal love and look at your relationship through the lens of brutal evolutionary biology and psychoanalysis. We will dissect the phenomenon psychologists call Starfish syndrome and explain why her passivity is not submission, but the most sophisticated form of humiliation for your masculinity. And I ask you to read or listen to this material to the very end, because in the finale, I will tell you about one hidden, almost invisible sign that family therapists stay silent about. It is a small domestic gesture she makes almost every time after sex. You have seen it hundreds of times, but gave it no meaning. But this gesture, this final phantom, is absolute biological proof that on a subconscious level, she feels not attraction toward you, but deep, hidden disgust. If you have noticed this in your bedroom, run. But more on that later. Before we dive into these dark waters, I want to address the men who value the truth, no matter how bitter it tastes. This channel exists only because of you and for you. If what I say resonates with pain or recognition in your heart, support us. Become a channel sponsor. This is not just help, it is your contribution to spreading common sense in a world ruled by illusions. The link, as always, is where it belongs. Now, take a deep breath. We are beginning the autopsy of your family life.
Let's be honest and call things by their proper names, without diplomacy or smoothing over the rough edges. What happens in your bedroom when she just lies there, arms spread, staring at a single point, has a very specific definition. This is not sex in the classic sense of an energy exchange. This is a service act. This is maintenance. Imagine a cashier at a supermarket at the end of a long shift. She takes your item, scans the barcode, names the price, takes the payment, and hands you the receipt. Does she do it efficiently? Quite possibly. She isn't rude, she follows the algorithm. But does she want to see you? Does she derive joy from the process? Is there even a drop of personal connection? No. To her, you are just another object on the conveyor belt, a task that needs to be closed so she can go home. The same thing is happening in your bed, only instead of a cash register, it's the marital bed, and instead of groceries, it's your body and your needs. The woman grants you her body for a short-term lease. Usually this lasts from 10 to 20 minutes. Her goal is to minimize energy expenditure and wait it out. At this moment, an amazing and terrifying splitting occurs, one that the fathers of psychoanalysis wrote about. Her psyche, her libido, what the ancients called the spirit, literally leaves the room. She flips the sensitivity switch to off. She enters energy-saving mode, or in computer terms, sleep mode. Her eyes may be open, but her gaze is unfocused. She looks through you, or studies a crack in the ceiling, or mentally compiles a shopping list for tomorrow. She is present here only as a biological object, as a collection of tissues, muscles, and mucous membranes necessary to satisfy your physiological need. In her head at that moment, the music of passion is not playing. A countdown timer is ticking. She waits for the final chord, not because she wants pleasure, but because she wants it to end. For her, your orgasm is not the peak of a shared experience, but the dismissal bell, the signal that class is over, allowing her to pack her bag and leave. For a man, such a format of interaction is destructive on a hormonal level. We are often told that men only want one thing, that we simply need to release tension. This is a lie imposed by pop culture. Male sexuality, especially in mature age, is structured much more complexly. Your testosterone, your ancient instinct of the hunter and conqueror, requires a reaction. It vitally needs resistance from the material. It needs a response. When you squeeze her, you must feel her muscles contract in return. When you set the rhythm, you must feel her body adjusting to that rhythm, or conversely, disrupting it with its own wild desire. You need sound. You need a sharp intake of breath. You need nails on your back, or at least a tight embrace. This is a biological feedback that tells the male, you are doing everything right. I want you. I am here with you. Without this response, without this living reaction, the process turns into mechanical friction. You are in essence masturbating using the body of a living person as a complex, warm, and high-maintenance tool. And subconsciously, you feel this. That is exactly why, after such a finale, you feel emptiness and shame instead of a surge of strength. Your body got the release, but your spirit got the signal that you were not needed, that you were merely tolerated.
Many men fall into the terminology trap, confusing two completely different concepts. They look at a motionless woman and think she is submissive. They recall old patriarchal beliefs that a woman should be modest, that she should accept the man, that initiative is punishable. This is a fatal error that costs you years of happiness. Let's draw a clear boundary, a thick red line between submission and indifference, between a submissive woman and a woman playing the role of a corpse. The difference here is not in the pose, but in the energy. True submission, which many dominants dream of, is always an active action. It is a paradox, but it is true. A submissive woman who wishes to serve her man wants this contact. She craves his power. Yes, she might be tied up. She might be pinned to the bed. She might not be able to move widely, but she is never lethargic. Recall how a body that wants to submit behaves. It is tense like a guitar string. She reacts to your every touch with micro movements. If you run your hand along her thigh, her skin breaks out in goosebumps. If you squeeze her wrists, she arches her back to meet you, offering herself. She breathes rapidly and deeply. She makes sounds. She is alive. There is electricity in her submission. She gives you power consciously. She participates in this game. She gifts you her control like a precious present. Now look at what is happening with you. Starfish syndrome is passive indifference. It is sluggishness. Her arms lie like whips not because she is allowing you to dominate, but because she is too lazy to lift them. Her silence is not a sign of consent. It is a sign of a lack of interest. In body language, which cannot be faked, she is screaming the most terrifying phrase for any relationship. She is screaming, "I do not want this, but I will allow you to do it because it is necessary, because I do not want a scandal, because it is easier for me to give in than to explain why I do not want to." This is not submission. This is tolerance. Do you feel the difference? Submission is a gift. Tolerance is a handout. When a woman tolerates a man in bed, she places him on the same level as an unpleasant medical procedure. One must tolerate an injection. One must tolerate a dental checkup. One must tolerate a husband. This kills the masculine core faster than any external problems. Because when you realize that you are being tolerated, you stop feeling like a male. You turn into a problem that needs to be solved, into an irritant that needs to be eliminated. And to continue initiating intimacy in such conditions means losing the last remnants of self-respect. But why is this happening? Why has the woman who was perhaps fire turned into ice? Biologists and evolutionary psychologists give a very clear, cynical, but truthful answer to this, which many of you will not like. Look at the animal kingdom. Nature is wise and it never lies. In the wild, where there are no mortgages, social obligations, or prenuptial agreements, a female is never a passive object if she is truly in the phase of readiness. This is the law of evolution. When a lioness, a she-wolf, or even a domestic cat enters the estrus phase, the peak of hormonal attraction, she transforms into the initiator. She does not wait. She seeks friction. This is the key word, friction. The physics of passion is based on the collision of two bodies moving toward each other. The female in the hunt pushes the male herself. She bites his scruff. She arches her back so that her spine turns into a drawn bow. She imposes herself. She becomes intrusive, inconvenient, demanding. Her body vibrates with tension because the instinct of reproduction is a powerful engine that cannot be silenced by upbringing or fatigue.
Now return to your bedroom. If in your reality only you are moving and she works exclusively as a lubricant softening your movements, it means her ancient animal instinct is sleeping a dead sleep. You have not awakened the female in her. In this moment, you are sleeping not with a female partner, but with the archetype of the mother. This is a terrifying role reversal. A mother can comfort, a mother can pat you on the head, a mother can allow the child to do what he needs to do to calm down. But a mother does not want the child sexually. And when a wife switches on the starfish mode, she unconsciously says to you, "Do your business, little one, and sleep." This is castration through care. She gives you a body, but denies you passion, and this is exactly where the root of your male loneliness lies. You feel that you are being looked after, serviced, but not wanted. And for a man at any age, whether he is 40 or 70, it is vitally important to feel that he is specifically wanted, that he is craved as a man and not as a relative whose diaper needs changing. But let's dig deeper. Why does she do this? Why doesn't she give a direct no if she doesn't want to? Why does she choose this exhausting strategy of passive consent? The answer to this question was given by the great Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung, and this answer forces us to take a new look at her every silence in bed. Carl Jung introduced the concept of the shadow into psychology. It is the dark side of our personality where we hide everything socially unacceptable, our anger, our forbidden desires, our cruelty.
In society, it is accepted to consider that aggression is always an action. It is a scream, a fist hitting the table, a scandal with smashing dishes. We men are used to seeing aggression exactly like that. But Jung argued that there is another, more insidious form of anger, passive aggression, and the starfish pose is its highest manifestation. Lying like a log is the best way to destroy a man without firing a single shot, without a single rude word, while remaining formally the perfect wife. Think about the mechanics of this process. If she tells you a firm no, she becomes the guilty one. You might get offended, you might start asking uncomfortable questions, you might, in the end, find someone who says yes. Rejection is a conflict, and conflict requires energy and can threaten her comfort. Therefore, she chooses the path of least resistance. She does not refuse. She agrees, but she makes the process itself so bland, so tasteless and mechanical that you yourself over time stop wanting it. This is a brilliant defense strategy. She kills your desire with your own hands. She turns sex into a routine that starts to sicken you. This is unconscious revenge. Revenge for you not being the alpha male she painted in her fantasies. Revenge for domestic grievances. Revenge for the spark having faded. She punishes you with boredom, and it works flawlessly. You start thinking the problem is in you. Maybe I've become old. Maybe I've lost my shape. Maybe my technique is wrong. You start trying even harder. You buy gifts. You take her to a restaurant hoping to buy her passion. But in response, you get the same cold, motionless doll, because desire cannot be bought. Jung said that what we resist persists, but what we ignore disappears. She ignores you right during the act of love, and by doing so, she slowly erases you as a man from the equation of your family. You become a function, an ATM, a driver, the father of children, but not a lover. And the scariest part is that you agree to this, afraid to lose even this pathetic surrogate of intimacy. But there is another layer, an economic one, which explains her lack of initiative better than any psychology textbooks.
Let's analyze the most frequent complaint of men. She never starts first. I always have to approach, hint, initiate. And she only graciously allows or finds a reason to refuse. Do you know why this happens? The answer is brutally simple. Nobody runs for a bus that is already standing at the stop with open doors. Nobody hunts for game that is already lying in the fridge, packaged and ready for consumption. You have become too accessible a resource for her. You are always nearby. You are always ready. You are predictable like the weather forecast in the desert. Your availability has devalued your attention. The human psyche, and female psyche in particular, runs on dopamine. Dopamine is the hormone of anticipation, the hormone of desire. It is produced only when there is a deficit, when there is a mystery, when there is a risk of not getting what is desired. When you become convenient, safe, and always available, dopamine production in her brain stops. Why should she make an effort? Why should she put on beautiful lingerie? Why should she flirt with you during the day to warm you up for the evening? She has no motivation. She knows you aren't going anywhere. You have turned sex from a celebration, from an event, from an adventure, into a hygiene procedure, like brushing teeth before bed. And brushing teeth, no matter how beneficial, does not cause excitement and trembling. Initiative is always born of hunger. A fed lion does not hunt. A fed woman does not seduce. If you have overfed her with your attention, your care, your constant presence, she simply has no biological reason to be active. Her passivity is a direct result of your excessive love, which has become suffocating. You have become too understandable, and in an understandable book, it is not interesting to turn the pages because you already know the ending. And here we approach the most dangerous moment, to what happens after everything is over, to that same phantom I spoke about at the beginning. Many of you have noticed this but chased away the bad thoughts, but it is this small ritual she performs immediately after you pull away from her that says more about the collapse of the relationship than years of scandals. It is a biological marker of disgust that cannot be hidden and cannot be faked. Are you ready to find out exactly how she washes you off her skin?
In psychoanalysis, there are two fundamental forces that govern a human: libido, the energy of life, creation, and pleasure, and thanatos, the drive toward rest, decay, and death. Sigmund Freud argued that our entire life is a struggle between these two principles, and the bedroom is the main battlefield. When you make love to a woman who reacts, who makes sounds, who moves, you connect to a pure source of vitality. It is an exchange of vitality. You feel immortal in that moment. But when you lie in bed with a woman afflicted by Starfish syndrome, you touch thanatos. You touch death. This sounds creepy, but let's look truth in the eye. Her complete immobility, her detached gaze, her silence. This is a simulation of the absence of life. The French call the orgasm the little death, but in your case, the entire process turns into a rehearsal for a funeral. You are trying to revive matter that does not want to be revived. You spend your life energy, your resource. You burn your nerve cells trying to light a fire in a block of ice. And this does not pass without a trace. Men who live in this mode for years begin to age faster. Their testosterone levels drop, the sparkle in their eyes fades, the motivation to do business, build houses, conquer the world disappears. Why? Because at home, in the most sacred place, they are met not by a source of power, but a black hole that sucks out energy and gives nothing in return. Boredom in bed is not just a lack of fun. It is the oncology of relationships. It metastasizes into all spheres of your life. And if you feel this deadly boredom, this cold radiating from her, know this: your masculine essence is in danger. But there's a sign even more terrifying than her immobility. A sign that says she considers you not just boring, but dirty. We have reached that very moment I warned about in the beginning, the final phantom. This is a litmus test that never fails because it is based on animal instincts that cannot be controlled by consciousness. Remember what happens immediately after everything is finished, second by second. Here you have pulled away. You are lying there trying to catch your breath. What does she do? If a woman loves a man, if she accepts him on a genetic level, her first desire after intimacy is to prolong the contact. This is a stage that ethologists call postcoital grooming, or simply put, the stage of tenderness. She wants to lie in your arms. She likes your scent. On a subconscious, hormonal level, the scent of the beloved male is the best perfume. It is a mark of belonging. It is safety. She wants to keep a part of you on herself, your trace, your essence. She will go to the shower, of course, but later, 15 minutes later, half an hour later, or maybe even in the morning, because for her, you are not dirt. You are hers. Now recall the other scenario, the starfish scenario. As soon as you finish, she sheds her stupor with amazing speed. She jumps out of bed as if a fire alarm went off. She does not look at you. She does not touch you. She flies like a bullet into the bathroom. You hear the noise of water within 30 seconds. She scrubs herself with a washcloth furiously. She uses gels with strong fragrances. She is washing you off. This is not hygiene. Hygiene is a calm process. What she is doing is a ritual of purification. It is deactivation. In the language of instincts, she is saying, there is a foreign, unpleasant, dangerous substance on me. I am defiled. I need to urgently regain my cleanliness. Psychologists working with victims of violence note a similar pattern in them, an obsessive desire to wash themselves. Think about that. If your wife runs to wash off your touch with such speed as if it were toxic waste, it means that at a deep level, she perceives intimacy with you as an act of violence against her will, even if she agreed to it herself, even if she is smiling. The body does not lie. Her body considers you a stranger, and this is a verdict. To live with a woman who considers you dirt means destroying yourself every day. No money, no children, no mortgage is worth feeling like a radioactive element in your own home. What should you do about this? Most men choose the path of negotiation. They start whining, begging, demanding, dragging her to psychologists. It doesn't work. You cannot negotiate with an instinct. You cannot logically convince a woman to want you if her body rejects you. Stop being a beggar. Stop pleading for crumbs of attention from someone who looks at you like empty space. The only way to change the situation is shock. It is breaking the pattern. It is action. Next time you feel she has switched on the log mode, when you see that empty stare at the ceiling, stop, right in the process, abruptly, without warning. Get up and leave. Do not make a scene, do not explain, do not accuse. Just take a pillow and go sleep in another room, or get dressed and go for a walk. Leave her alone in this stuffy bedroom with her indifference. This will be the most powerful signal you have sent her in the last 10 years. You will show her that you are not a hungry dog that will eat whatever is thrown at it. You will show that you have standards, that you respect yourself enough to not have sex with a mannequin. This act might be the end of your fake relationship, but it might also be the beginning of its rebirth. Because a woman is capable of respecting only the man who is capable of walking away, who does not hold on to her skirt with a death grip. Respect yourself. Because if you do not respect yourself, no one in this world, and certainly not in your bedroom, will do it for you. Stop sleeping with illusions. Wake up. If this video was a cold shower for you, if you recognized yourself and are ready to face the truth, do 2 simple actions. First, subscribe to the channel. Here we tear off the masks of hypocrisy that society has been putting on us for decades. Second, if you want to support this voice of reason, if you want more videos like this to come out, become a channel sponsor. Your support is the fuel for our work. The link is in the description. See you in the next video where we will dismantle even more dangerous myths. Over and out.